Coming up in today's video.
Don't live above your means. When I was like,
Let's be friends.
exactly. And you're just there like, okay. Make sure that there's no money owing also on the land.
Don't be naive.
Oh yes.
Hi guys, it's your girl Trish Chanda. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining us. Today we have a special guest. We are with YouTuber Natasha M. Natasha recently moved back to Zambia. She was living in Canada and she's moved back home. So in this video, she is gonna be giving us a tea and she's gonna be telling us what it's really like to move back home and live in Zambia, Lusaka full time. And at the moment, Natasha's actually building a house as well. So we'll go a little bit into that. If you want to know what it's like, this video is going to be for you. Natasha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's really exciting to have you here. So for people watching who are thinking about moving back home, before even they make the initial steps to do that, how would you advise them? What would you tell them to do?
So I think the number one thing that you have to do when you're looking to moving back to Zambia is make sure that you're decided that you want to move to Zambia. And that's like a big factor because I have a few other people that I met along the way that actually made the move and then ended up going back. Yeah. Number one thing is have at least $2,000 or $3,000 saved up so that you don't come here and you're like broke basically. But it's not that much that you need in order for you to start life here. I think at most have at least $5,000 so that you are able to pay your rentals and whatnot, because here in Zambia, once you look for a place and find a place, you pay basically 2 months and then a deposit. So during those 2 months and the deposit, you could always ask the person to say, hey, I'm not gonna pay rent for the last month, keep the deposit. That's the best way of going about it, because most people don't want to give your deposit back. And then making sure that during those 3 months, you're looking for a piece of land. Once you find that piece of land, make sure you start the process of finding out information on how to go about doing the title deeds and all that stuff, and you can actually build while you're getting all that stuff done.
So what's been the most rewarding thing about being back in Zambia? What do you love the most?
I think the most rewarding thing about being back in Zambia is just not having any bills.
Oh, explain.
So because of the fact that we have it's called a borehole, you basically get water from under your own land, like underground. So we don't pay for a water bill, and we also invested in solar. So we don't use power from the main power company.
Good. And how much is it for you to do solar?
So hold on, I'll have to give you guys a breakdown. So getting all the batteries, so we got 2 batteries and an inverter, that cost us about 13,000 kwacha. And then the solar panels, they cost us about, I think they were 2,700 each. So in total, we spent about 18,000, almost 20,000 kwacha on just the whole shindig. The 2 solar panels, they're about 325 watts each. And then the inverter, 220 AH batteries.
That is
so
really
it's it's really
very affordable.
Yes, and the thing is that the best part about investing in solar is the fact that you don't have to use anything but the sunlight.
Oh wow.
And
of course, because it's from the sun.
Exactly.
How long did it take you to build? So you found your plot of land, you've sorted out your title deeds, and then now you're going to start building. How long did that process take?
So from purchasing the piece of land to finishing the build, it's taken about it took about 6 months.
Okay.
In total, yes. But I think the thing is that with the title deeds, sometimes it could take you longer depending on the location of your plot. So mine was in the Chongwe district, so getting a building permit, all that stuff was faster than I think other parts of Lusaka.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So you sort of have to be able to check out the area that you're purchasing your land. And the thing is that our piece of land was a subdivided piece of land. So if you're buying outright, I think it would take longer to process the title deeds.
Yeah.
And then compared to if you're getting a subdivided plot, it'll take, I think, less time because there's already a sort of mother title and they're just cutting a piece from it. So the process, I think...
Did you have a lawyer or anybody helping you with this process?
So the person who I bought the piece of land from helped out mostly with doing everything up until the title deed, which was super nice of him because he had all the information, and he did used to sell land prior to him like doing his farming and stuff. So he had a lot of connections on how to like do all the things.
And is he like credited? Like, did you look into him?
So the thing is that I did have to go initially before buying the land, we had to go to Ministry of Lands to make sure that that piece of land was not owned by somebody else or sold to somebody else, or if it had a caveat. A caveat is basically like a cap that is placed on a piece of land. Like, let's say you have land and you have your kids, and you don't want them selling it in the future, so you place a caveat so that they don't sell it forward and it stays within the family. So that's the number one thing that you guys should do before purchasing the piece of land, is make sure that there's no money owing also on the land. Yes.
Once we get to the tea,
we
really want to know, what is it like being back in Lusaka? And before we go into that, actually, Natasha, can you like give us an introduction, give us a brief background of your journey from leaving Canada to coming here?
So I was born in Zambia, and then at age 3 moved to Finland with my parents, and then I've lived most of my life in Finland. And then when I was, I think before my 20th birthday, I moved from Finland to Canada.
Oh,
yes.
Okay then.
And then ever since I've been living in Canada.
So how old were you when you left Zambia?
I was 3 years old. I was so young. I just remember growing up in Finland. A lot of it was a hard upbringing, to be honest.
Why?
It was mostly because of the fact that just growing up as a young black girl and living in Europe, not too many people that looked like me, and the racism, it was a lot. And I think one of the biggest motivations that I had to moving to Canada was probably that, and not feeling like I fit in. And so I thought, why not go somewhere where I could think of trying to fit in? And like growing up in a place where you're like the only black person in the bus, it was one of those situations.
When you're saying that, for me, like I left Zambia so when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And when I moved to the UK with my dad, I moved to the north of England, Leeds, West Yorkshire, which is in the north for the people that don't know. But what like Natasha is saying is that you're predominantly around a lot of white people.
Yes.
And when the school that I went to, I swear to you guys, there was like 3 black people and that was it. Like in the entire school.
Yeah.
Right? So then you come from like beautiful Africa, and then you're there in this place and you're the only like black kid, or 3 or 4 of you, and it's like it's just crazy, isn't it? What is Finland like?
Finland is very, very I think it's been voted as like one of the top 5 racist countries in the world. One of the hardest part about living in Finland was probably not being able to have people that you could relate to, and children that would actually want to play with you, because most of the kids that we would see were Caucasian, and their parents would fill them up with all these silly things, and they'd discriminate against you because of how you look like and the color of your skin.
Yeah. What was the main reason that made you go, I'm done with, because I know you've gone to Finland, but at this stage you're in Canada, correct?
Yeah.
So you're in Canada now and you're like, I'm absolutely done, I've had enough, I'm going to move back to Zambia. Tell us about, what was that changing point?
I think the main reason why we had decided with my husband to move back was the murder of George Floyd. I'm sure you guys saw and witnessed that all over the news, and I know a lot of people know about like police brutality in the US and whatnot, and just racism in the US. But what people don't know is that Canada also has a lot of racism. It has a lot of hidden racism that is not really sort of visible. I had come to a place where I was like, okay, if I want to raise my kids, where would be the best place to do so? And I think when we were talking with my husband, we're like, okay, with him growing up in Canada and me growing up in Finland, it was just one of those things where we're like, okay, Africa might be one of those places that we could sort of venture out to and see if it would work for us. I had just finished my accounting, and I was like, okay, I want to try an internship at a company in Africa. And so I reached out to a company here in Zambia and asked them if they would basically allow me to do my practicum at their office, and they said yes. And so we're like, okay, I guess this was sort of a sign to say we should do it.
That's amazing. So you were doing accounting in Canada, and then you were at that point now where you're like, I've had enough. So you reached out to a company in Zambia and said, I want to finish my accounting. And they literally took you on, and this is how you made that move.
Yes.
That's great. But I think this is also important for us to know, because I think a lot of people ask about qualifications or things like this, but do you see how she's literally used her same skills, she's been studying, and she's come and really finished it over here? So sometimes I don't think the setback has to be when I finish everything. Maybe the question should be, how can I make it work, and what can I do to get there? Guys, if you're enjoying this video, what do they have to do? Like, comment,
and subscribe to the channel.
If you're living in Zambia, if you're thinking about it, let us know in the comments. Let's start this conversation. Well, how much did it cost for you to move back? Did you bring stuff with you? How did the government help you in any way? Tell us that process.
Okay, so so when my husband and I started dating, we had saved up money from that time up until 2021.
So how many years was that?
That was about 3 years.
Okay.
Yes. And we had been saving some money. And then initially we were supposed to buy a house in Canada. We had saved up for a deposit for a house, and we had actually gone through the whole process of purchasing the house and like going to the bank, trying to find out all the information that was needed for the house. And then obviously we got to a point where we're like, okay, is this really worth it? Do we really want to spend 25 to 30 years in paying off a house? And also the fact that my husband was working about 16 hours a day, so he didn't really have enough time to be with us. Yeah, so it was sort of one of those things where we're like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why pay for a house for 25 years and then possibly lose the house in the process if we lose our jobs and stuff. And so we're like, okay, well, let's move back. And the cost of moving back wasn't that, it wasn't as much as most people sort of say. Okay, so so initially our tickets for me and the 2 kids. I think it's because of the fact that it was during the pandemic time, so it was about $7,000. That was expensive. Yeah, expensive. for the flights alone for the 3 of us. And then renting. So initially when we got back with my kids, I had to find a place for us to stay, and the first place that we found was, I think it was 5,000 kwacha a month. It was a 2-bedroom.
Okay, so what area?
It was in Makeni.
Okay, then so Makeni area, she found a house with, and it was £250 per month, which is very reasonable, to be fair. That is very reasonable.
So initially I was supposed to move into that place, and then we had a few complications, and then I ended up moving towards Roma, which was cheaper.
Ramadan.
Yes, but the problem is that, you know, Zambia has like, people in Zambia have a way of sort of putting up posters of what it looked like when it first was built. So the biggest problem that we had was the fact that the house was damp and mold. It was just a whole big disaster. And you know, the thing is that most people who own properties in Zambia don't place emphasis on making sure that they maintain those properties. And so that was our experience. We stayed there for about, I think it was 4 or 5 days, and then I moved again. Oh my gosh. We moved, like, I think last year we lived in about, I think, 5-6 different places.
Wow.
I just ended up saying, okay, let's buy a property and start to develop it so that we don't have these issues. And you know, once you're building your own place, you get to dictate on what goes in and what goes out.
Exactly.
So yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
What's been the most challenging thing about being in Zambia? Because me and you were talking about this before, because I mean, let's just talk about the good things. We were the same, right? We like the sun, our skin, our hair's growing so much faster.
So much faster.
Oh my gosh,
that's the crazy part,
right?
Your hair literally grows so much more faster. It's so much more healthier. And the thing is that, like, growing up in Europe and stuff, I never used to leave my hair out. No. Because of the fact that it was like, the weather is not conducive to your hair,
isn't it?
And like, my skin, guys, my skin has cleared out. I used to have acne, like scars all over my face. Wow. But ever since I came back, that has been like the best part about living back home. And I'm sure you guys can see I have a lot of happy weight.
Oh, always happy. It happens when you come.
Yes, the food, the organic food is everything.
You're getting that avocado.
Oh yes.
From the trees.
Oh yes.
It's still mind-blowing.
Oh yes.
Don't be naive.
Oh yes.
And what I mean by that is that we all have this thing in our heart, like, oh, I miss home, I miss Zambia, I just want to be with my people, I want to relax and just be with my people. People are people. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. There's a difference in Africa, because as Africans, the way we've been raised and the way that we are, like I said, Zambia is a very loving. Yes, they're very warming. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why Zambia's never had a war. We're not into drama. Well, we don't like to fight. We don't want to, like, well, was like, no, how can we work it out?
Everybody has a peaceful way of doing things.
But it doesn't mean that they're not bad people in Zambia. Exactly. It doesn't mean that people won't take advantage of you. You also have to be wary of everybody. Yes. Because everyone's trying to make a buck. It's the same all around the world. Yes. Everyone's trying to make, and also be careful when you're doing things with people. Like, oh no, I'll buy it for you. You need to be like, can you bring me back the receipt? Because they'll be buying and they'll be adding money on top. They'll be moving things around.
Yes.
You know, and it's,
I've had that.
We're not being negative, because if you're building your house and they're going to buy you light bulbs, the light bulbs are 50 kwacha, they'll be telling you they're 65.
Yes.
So for every light bulb you're buying, they'll be taking a 50 kwacha.
Faka pamwamba. Or diela pamwamba. Literally, I have gone through it during my building period. Oh god. I think the thing is that when you're a Zambian who's come back from abroad, a lot of Zambian people tend to judge you when you don't know how to speak the local language. Oh
my gosh, I know about that.
Yes, it's so really difficult.
You don't know. You can't speak Bemba, really?
Yes, wow. I have that all the time.
And you know, and then if you try to, like, speak the language, they'll be laughing at you, like,
exactly.
You sound like a Kazungu. So it's like,
Yes,
what do you want? Do you want me to try and learn?
Exactly.
Or do you want me not to?
Not to.
And I think what people need to say, I'm just going to jump in there.
Yeah.
A lot of our parents, when they took us to Europe, right? Well, you know, I was in the UK, she was in Finland. They just really want you to integrate with other children.
Exactly.
And I'll be honest with you, don't come for us, come for our parents. And I say this to people all the time. What do you mean by that? I'm like, listen, you have Nigerians and Ghanaians, right? Even Indian people, the majority of them speak their language in the house.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is about Zambian, not all of us. Some of us chose no, let them just learn English, but then they forget to speak the mother tongue in the house. So it's not like we're bougie, it's not like we don't want to learn Bembe, we think we're all that or anything of that nature. We just haven't been around it. Right? But if we know the culture, we know our food, we know our heritage, we know we're Zambian, it's in our blood. So whether we speak the language or not, whether you like us or not, I don't know. What are you going to do with Zambian? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
What are you going to do? And I say this like this because it's really
it's frustrating.
It's a frustrating
It's really frustrating. Especially when you go to passport office or you go to one of these government buildings, and then you go and you're asking a quick question, and then they hear your accent and they're like, okay, so what's going on over here? Who are you?
Let's try times 4.
Exactly. Not. I think the main thing that everybody has to focus on, and this is one of the biggest tips that I always emphasize, is don't live above your means. When I say $5,000, I mean you really no eating out, just, you know, basically living hand to mouth in a sense. I'm not saying like hand to mouth. I literally would eat out and stuff. I'm not saying yes, I would eat out. I would eat out and whatnot. Right. But the thing is that if you're moving to Zambia, $5,000 will be a great start, but it shouldn't be your only form of income. Right,
that should be just like, okay, that's for the rent to keep us going.
Exactly.
So what are we looking at? So for us to go back home, are you saying $20,000? Like, what do you have before we get here? Or give us a ballpark.
So for us, because of the fact that my husband was in Canada, he would send money to me so that I would be able to basically do everything when it came to the building, paperwork, all that stuff. If you're a couple looking to moving back, I would suggest one person stay back so that you have some money coming in.
Because like now, like how long have you been apart from your husband? Because there's 2 ways to do it. Either save all the money, have your $20,000, £20,000, move back home. Or the second way that Natasha's saying, right, okay, then have like a good $5,000 to $8,000, move back home so that you're sorted for the next 6 months, start building your house, your other half can be in the other country. But when is he coming?
So the thing is that since we moved last year in February, end of February, so right now is June 1st, so he's gonna be coming in the next few weeks, if not a month. And
so how far are we apart from each other, in case someone's watching and going, okay, then you need to stay here? Would you say 6-7 months or a year? What?
I would say 6 months. The reason why he has been gone for so long is because of the fact that like the pandemic caused a lot of things to sort of happen. He had an issue with his passport and whatnot, so there's a whole lot of, you know, background things going on, and also us having to sell a lot of the stuff that we had accumulated over the years, and so that was also why he stayed back. And now he's gonna be coming in the next few weeks, if not a month. We're sort of still looking at the time frame between, you know, because of the fact that like this Ukraine, the war between Russia and Ukraine, it's been a whole lot of a mess with what we had planned. And initially we had thought that he would come within 6 months, but then he decided to stay longer because of also all those things that I mentioned, and also making sure that we were sort of done with everything on ground before he comes, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you're both down and you have kids and all these responsibilities, and then you end up in a situation where you can't sustain yourself.
That's a good idea.
So that's one of the reasons why he's still not yet here. But I would give you guys probably a 6 month frame, as long as you're not like doing too much with, you know, hanging out, eating out a lot and stuff.
Yeah, we've been warned. Okay, what is it like making friends here? Give us a tea, be honest.
I haven't made a single friend since moving back. Personally, I love making friends. I'm a really open person and whatnot. But local people have this perception of you, like when you like if you don't know how to, like we were speaking about not knowing the local language,
of course.
And they'll be gisting in the language and, you know, having that slang, and you're just there like, okay. And you do this, you know, fake laugh, and you're like, yes, yeah, I understand that,
but you're not getting everything.
But you're not getting everything. And
but you know what, I've got a solution to your problem.
Yeah.
What I've learned being in Zambia, right, is that Natasha is completely correct, right? But not everybody can be your friend.
Yeah.
And we're not on the same level, right?
Yeah,
I honestly believe, right, we should be kind to all human beings.
Yeah.
When I came back to Zambia, my auntie said to me, Trish, if somebody wants to be your friend and they can't even buy you a kabir, you can't be friends.
Oh, yes.
You can't be friends.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Trish, you're getting on the point here. Like, you'll literally make friends with somebody, and then you'll say, hey, do you want to grab a coffee? Me and Trish would understand that we're paying for ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Unless I'm like, Natasha, I'm going to take you as my treat. But even that, I don't even have to say that. If we're going out to a restaurant, I just think it's common courtesy. Because over here, they take it like, oh, let's go. Right,
it means you're paying for everything. Yes.
For everything, for everyone, because you said let's go.
Let's go.
But it's like, and especially for me, I'm like, I'm not your sugar mommy.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry. I've
got kids.
It's really bad manners.
Yeah.
Now, I understand. I won't even say it's a culture. It's not everybody in Zambia. I want to clarify. This is what I said about making friends.
Yeah.
If someone can't buy you a drink, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
If someone is not on the same level as you, I know it sounds horrible, just even mindset, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
You have to have friends who are more level to who you are.
Yeah.
And I feel like my little holiday that I've had in Zambia, I've now started to meet a lot of Zambians in diaspora.
Yeah.
And also Zambians here, literally the same boat.
Yeah.
They were raised in diaspora, they come back home and they're like, I can't find a friend. So when you find another friend from the diaspora side, like, let's be friends, please. Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Right? But in saying that, in making friends with local people, I always find it's like you have to go to like networking events.
Yes.
Or where it's people of business.
Exactly.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because then they're on the same level as you.
They understand.
But if it's your cousins, even like we love you, cousins, family members, we can't be friends because all you become is a bank account.
Yes.
It's too much. It's not even fun.
Yeah, it's not fun at all, because you're like, okay, let's plan a weekend out. Let's go this and this place. Like, I understand if you don't have a job, and like we're not even gonna plan those things because I already know that you can't afford it. But then you have those ones who go to work. They have a whole full-time job, but then before you know it, like you're like, okay, hey guys, let's do this and this, and then they're like, when it comes to paying, they're just standing there and they're looking to the side, and you're like,
favorite.
Excuse me, what are you doing? I didn't, what? Are you gonna pay for yourself? But yeah, I think
guys, they literally do that and you're like, are you
or some people will literally just stand right there and just look like,
or they look at you like,
yeah.
So this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
If you're going out in Zambia, you tell people very specifically what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're going to go, would you like to go out? We're going to go for a drink. Guys, just to let you know, me, I'm going to this thing. I only have 300 kwacha. If you would like to join me to go out for a drink and to do A, B, C, D, because then they're knowing that.
Be able to communicate, because the culture here is very different. It's very different. Because when you tell somebody, hey, let's go out for a meal, they're thinking you're gonna pay. But out in Europe or like in Canada or the UK, when you ask someone, hey, let's go out for dinner or whatever, everybody knows that they're gonna pay for themselves unless
it's like your birthday or something, you know?
Yes.
Like if your friend's saying to you, Trish, I'm gonna take you out, oh my gosh, it's your birthday, girl.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's that, right?
Yeah.
No, you know for your birthday, like everyone's gonna pay for me, I'm gonna live my best life. Like if you're like really good friends.
But that's not a European thing.
Right?
Even for birthdays, everybody pays for themselves.
Well, for me, my friend groups, it's not really like that.
Yeah,
I think like it's a black thing. You're right, it's not really a real European thing because it's like your birthday, don't don't do anything. Like book the dinner. No, we got this. Do you know what I mean?
And it gets boring when you're the only one always paying and nobody thinks to say like, hey, exactly. Oh yes.
I don't know.
And for me, I have kids and a husband. We have a budget.
What is this? Like bad manners. Like no, right? You know, we need to set up a Facebook group for
yes, yes.
We've just got a good idea.
Yes, I spoke to one of my.
What should people expect about Zambia? You know, I know because you came in. There's some things. I will start.
Okay.
Like when I came on holiday, one thing that really shocked me is everything. Every time people are trying to make money out of you, I found that really shocking.
Oh yes,
like
Trish, I almost didn't want to even bring that up because I was like, okay, I'm gonna sound horrible for saying it, but it's the truth.
If someone does you a favor, you can be shocked.
They expect you to give them a tip. Even family members expect you to give them tips. Like, what's going on here?
Again,
everywhere you go, nobody can actually just help you out with a bag of groceries.
No, let's be clear. People do help you.
They do.
But we're talking about the one who are expecting to have something. Like, and you can even tell the ones who are helping you, but they're like, oh, she should give me a little too kwacha after. You can tell. I mean, because people are kind. Guys, they're very kind.
Oh, yes. People in Zambia are very kind.
And they're very sweet. And Zambia is very family-oriented.
Exactly.
But we're talking to people who are extra and they take advantage.
It's not all family who has that attitude. I think it's mostly, if you go around family members that are like sort of in a worse situation in a sense. So
explain what you mean.
What I mean is that, like, you know, you have certain family members who are in need, and the thing is that
like people from someone from like a humble home, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if they give you any type of assistance, you could tell just from their body language that they're expecting something of you, right? And so at the end of the day, you don't feel like the help is genuine.
No, because they want something for the help.
Because they want something for the help. And you understand, like, I always, you know, give because I understand that, okay, this person is in a position where they need. But then I've had situations where, like, something that's super simple, they're expecting of you. Like, let's say it's somebody's job to do something, and then they expect you to give them a tip on top of that. Like, I've hired some people to do some works in my yard. Let's say I've hired you to do, like, let's say you have a monthly income, right? And then I ask you to just help me, like, let's say tie this rope on the tree type of thing, and it's not within your job description. And then you will stand there and wait for me to give you like a little 20 kwacha or something, and it's like, but it's okay. Everybody wants something for a drink. Drink. Yaka drink. Is it yaka drink? Something for a drink. Like, even somebody who is, like, let's say if they're working at a mall, like the guards, you know, the security guards. And they're being paid.
But you know, you'd be doing a little food shop or whatever, and then, you know, the guy be helping you. You're like, oh my gosh, you're so helpful. Putting on his,
and then you just see him standing there, like, and you're like, you feel super awkward, and you're like, and they always remember me. Everywhere I go now.
See, that's the problem. You'd be pushing your trolley and stuff.
They'll be like, how are your kids?
And then I'll be pushing the trolley, like, Mommy, can I help? I said, I can manage my own trolley, I can manage. So I'll be packing, let me help pack. I said, okay, thank you so much. Because I'm even telling them the lingo, like, you can help, but I'm not going to tip you. Do you know what I mean? Every time we go shopping, babe, 5 kwacha. No, we can't.
And I realized that every time you give a tip, like, let's say you have a monthly budget for, like, let's say 2,000 kwacha, you might end up even spending that same 2,000 on just giving out tips. Let's say your monthly budget is 5,000 kwacha. 2,000 of that money can end up even being just part of you giving. Like, let's say if you go and park somewhere, you give somebody.
How much are you giving?
I sometimes give like 50 kwacha. Like, and sometimes
no, guys, seriously, if you're tipping people, do not follow Natasha's example. 2 kwacha.
I used to give even 100.
Oh,
because I
that's
didn't
like
know.
£5, $5. No, Natasha, we
I
cannot
didn't
do
know that.
No, Natasha, you give 2 kwacha for parking. 5 kwacha is the max.
Really?
I never pay no more than that. Girl, you've been getting robbed.
What?
Talking about 2,000 in tips per month. Do you know how much that is, guys? That's like £100. $100.
But the thing is that I think,
no, girl.
listen, how I justify that, to be honest, is that a lot of people, it depends on the person. You see what I'm saying? Like, if my heart is
get it,
moved,
but you know the finish. You know, my auntie said something and it popped in my head. You are a Zambian now.
Yeah.
You're not a Canadian.
Yeah, that's true.
You're a Zambian.
Yeah.
You need to behave like a Zambian.
That's true.
And that doesn't mean, essentially, that doesn't mean you can't be kind and give back to each other. But
Yeah.
Natasha, you cannot be spending £100 per month, and when you've got 3 children and a husband,
Yeah.
it's not making sense. Let's have some fun. Natasha, what's your
Yes.
Zambian name?
My Zambian name, I don't actually have one.
Oh! Oh, why?
So, I'm half Zambian, half Zimbabwean.
Ah, we didn't know this. Did you have a Zimbabwean name?
Yes, Swangile.
Tell them.
Swangile is my Zimbabwean name.
What does that
Zambian
mean?
name is my Swangile means thank you. It's a South African name. I think the top 3 tips is do not come to Africa thinking that you could just live this lavish life and then be able to actually settle down here.
True.
When you're coming here, be sober. Think about what you want to have achieved within a 6-month period. Get that done, and then after that, plan for a type of business, or even within that time, plan for a type of business that you're gonna do while you're here.
Okay.
Because you don't want to be in a situation where you are depleted of funds. And you can always reach out to me. I do have a few services that I give to people at a fee to be able to do. So,
Or like consultations.
yes,
Right.
consultations. I do help out if you're looking to buying land prior to you coming, because then it always eases out the situation.
Right,
If you're
okay.
coming, let's say you decide that you're gonna come within a 6-month period, you buy the land prior to coming and whatnot, and then sort of start when you
Right.
get here. A lot of people who have come here and gone back are on account of the fact that they were too sort of bougie to live out certain life situations, because Africa is totally different from North America, from the UK, from Finland. We have a certain type of lifestyle that we're used to, and when you come out here, you sort of have to adjust to how things work here.
Okay.
And the thing is that if you don't adjust, you won't be able to live here. Let's say our standards of how houses are in the
It's not the
UK,
same.
they're not the same. So you need to sort of bring down your way of seeing things and say, okay, this is Africa.
Or build yourself and get the most
Exactly.
experienced people
Yeah.
to do it. I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
In that sense as well. That really does make
It makes
sense.
a difference, yeah.
Thank you so much, Natasha, for coming to my
For sure.
channel.
It was nice being invited to
Yeah.
have a little conversation.
And thank you for tips. Make sure that you follow Natasha on YouTube. I'm going to put everything in the description box. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends all about Trish Chanda. Until next time, bye.
Bye.